in detail. The federal government has offered a cumulative sum of 65 billion naira to the Academic Staff Union of Universities ASU to address earned academic allowances and revitalization of universities. Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, made the proposal on behalf of the federal government to the striking lecturers when they met yesterday in Abuja. Briefing reporters at the end of the meeting, he described the negotiation as fruitful, as the government has decided to shift grounds on the lingering issues that have kept students out of the classroom for several months. The federal government accepted the demand by the Academic Staff Union of Universities that they be exempted from the integrated payroll and personnel information system. According to the minister, government also shifted grounds on a number of issues, including the insistence that all the academic staff of the federal universities must be paid through the IPACE platform. Ngige noted that in its bid to resolve the impasse with ASU, the sum of 15 billion naira from the amount offered by the government would be for more funds to revitalize the universities. He explained that the fund was in addition to the 20 billion naira paid earlier, making it a total of 35 billion naira committed as a revitalization fund by the government. Meanwhile, the leadership of ASU said they would report to their organs and get back to the government on the position of their members. The Law Students Association of Nigeria has dragged the Academic Staff Union of Universities ASU before the Federal High Court, Abuja, challenging what it described as the incessant strikes by the union. The association is seeking an order to compel ASU to return to the classroom, as well as an order of perpetual injunction to restrain ASU from embarking on further strikes. The suit, which was filed by the president of the association, Blessing Agbomere, on behalf of his members, is also asking the court to compel ASU to pay 10 billion naira compensation to Nigerian students. The association claims the lecturers have allegedly infringed on the right of the students to education as guaranteed by Section 18 of the 1999 Constitution and Article 17 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. The association is further asking the court to order ASU to pay damages to all Nigerian students for the psychological and emotional torture meted out to them, as well as the loss of valuable time following the continuous strike. Speaking to newsmen, Agbomere said that the suit was sequel to its findings that ASU members had been shortchanging the federal government by teaching in more than one university. He said investigations also revealed that members of the union were engaging in consultancy services in oil companies and collecting multiple salaries at the detriment of the Nigerian students. The elected governor, Godwin Obaseki, has urged security agencies in the state to reinforce the existing 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew imposed to check the activities of hoodlums and criminals following the hijack of the NSAS protests in the state. Obaseki spoke on Friday when he received the General Officer commanding 2 Division Nigerian Army, Major General Anthony Bamidele Omozoje, at the Government House, Benin City. The visit was to inform the governor on plans by the military to embark on a 7-day heightened security operation to fish out criminal elements in the state. The governor, who thanked the Chief of Army Staff and other senior security officers for refusing to be compromised and ensured that Edo had a free, fair and credible election, said their actions have saved and sustained democracy in the state and Nigeria. The governor said during the NSAS protest, Edo was a hot spot as hoodlums took advantage of the heightened anxieties surrounding the September 19th governorship election to cause mayhem. Obaseki, who assured the government's support, thanked the commanding officer for the moves made, which he said would ensure normalcy is restored in the state ahead of the Yuletide season. Evaluation will be carried out to know the level of success. We have men in Ibadan and Akure who are ready to reinforce our efforts if need be. The elected governor, Godwin Obaseki, has charged the federal government to set up an investigative panel to look into the destruction of security infrastructure in the state during the hijacked NSAS protests across the country. Governor Obaseki made the call on Friday when he received Commissioner of Police CP Abutu Yaro, who was the chairman of the IG Committee on Assessment of Losses of the Nigerian Police Force in the impacted states where NSAS disturbance took place. The governor noted that while the protest lasted, in other places, hoodlums were destroying government properties, but in Edo State, the focus was on security structure and institutions. He said the attack on security infrastructure started in Edo, saying that there are indications that the incidents were not totally unrelated to politics in Edo State. The governor informed his guest that the state government has engaged contractors to carry out an evaluation of the properties destroyed, but is concerned about the arms removed during the protest by criminal elements who are now attacking and killing policemen and IPUs who prosecuted them. CPR's visit to Edo is part of an ongoing assessment visit to state where the NSAS protests were impacted. He is to visit injured persons, families of the dead, and collect the vehicular and other infrastructural damages that have been put out of use and report back to the police management team within 3 weeks. Elsewhere, contractors executing various development projects for the Niger Delta Development Commission (NDDC) in Edo State may not be able to undertake any contract in the state going forward. This is because the state government is approaching the courts to seek an order stopping the federal government agency from embarking on any project in the state without the consent of and clearance by the state's executive council. Speaking to the management team of Seplat Petroleum Company Limited, who was at Government House in Benin City on a courtesy visit, Governor Godwin Obaseki said the NDDC has continued to fail the people of the region in the discharge of its responsibilities. The governor regretted that NDDC fails to fulfill its contractual obligations after a joint agreement was signed with Edo State Government and Edo State Oil and Gas Producing Areas Development Commission at Superdec to jointly construct the Benin-Abraka Road. He said the government is challenging that breach in court and they won't be allowed to operate in Edo State except the state government approves every project they are to embark on. He said they can't come into the state and dictate to them what they want to do, and that since the money belongs to the people of the region, they must decide their priorities, not NDDC contractors telling them what they want. Addressing the management team of Seplat Limited, the governor expressed interest to go into an understanding with them to co-finance the construction of the stretch of road leading to their area of operation to enable people of the area have access to good roads. He also appealed to them to help provide electricity in Oriawo local government area of the state, which is exposed to gas flaring. The Diocese of Sabongida Ora Anglican Communion has congratulated Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki and his deputy, Right Honorable Philip Shabu, on their successful inauguration. In a letter dated 12 November 2020 and signed by the Bishop of the Diocese, the Right Reverend Augustine Ohilibo, on behalf of the clergy and laity, the diocese expressed gratitude to God for giving Edo State one of the most peaceful and credible elections in the history of Nigerian democracy, as well as successful inauguration ceremonies, adding that it was clearly an answer to their collective prayers and disposition to peace and harmony. The diocese observed that the governor and his deputy worked very hard in their first term with the execution of people-oriented projects and development of infrastructure in different parts of the state, and by so doing, engraved their names in the hearts of the people. The church enjoined the duo to work harder and surpass the people's expectations as they commenced their second term in office. The Anglican Diocese of Sabongida Ora appealed to the governor to consider the construction of Sabongida Ora Sobe Road and the Afuze Epoma Road in Oran West and Oran East local government areas respectively, which they describe as two of the major roads that are very dear to their people and are crying for attention. The diocese promised to continue to uphold Obaseki and Shabu in prayers and bring forth suggestions from time to time for the success of the administration. Coming up in the moment after this break, newspaper vendors protest colleagues killing in Abuja. Stay with us, please.
Split seconds. There's a lot happening around us, but we can't be everywhere all the time. We've got work, families, and chores to cater to, and most importantly, time to rest. And that's why having reliable partner like KUFM News is important. Sleeping? We don't. We work round the clock, bringing you stories as they break. From Nigeria and across the world, we would stop at nothing to keep you informed, because KUFM News is all about you and stories that affect you. Politics, business, human interests, sports, entertainment, just name it. We've got you covered. KUFM News. Timely, precise, spot on.
Welcome back. Newspaper Food vendors in the Federal Capital Territory on Friday protested the killing of their colleague, Ifeanyi Okereke, who was shot dead on Thursday by a security aide to the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila. The vendors who were carrying placards demanded justice, insisting that the armed operative, who is believed to be a Department of State Services operative, must be brought to book. Gbajabiamila has issued a statement expressing regrets over the tragedy and announcing the suspension of the officer involved. The victim was inexplicably shot in the head and died at the National Hospital. Chairman of the Newspaper Vendors Association in FCT, Etem Eteng, said the association would not allow the matter to be swept under the carpet. Meanwhile, the FCT Commissioner of Police, Bara Siroma, has ordered an investigation into the incident. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, has confirmed that an agent of the Department of State Services attached to him shot and killed Ifeanyi Okereke, the newspaper vendor in Abuja. Gbajabiamila, in his second statement on Friday, identified the DSS agent as Abdullahi Hassan. The Speaker, who vowed to get justice for the deceased, disclosed that he had contacted Okereke's family members and would meet with them. The incident, which occurred at the Federal Secretariat Abuja around 3 p.m. on Saturday, had caused panic in the area. Okereke was subsequently rushed to the National Hospital by his brother and some police officers, where he reportedly died. It was learned that the shooting happened when Okereke and other street vendors selling on the Shehu Shagari Way, 3 Arms zone, flocked around the convoy of the Speaker, who was said to be in the habit of giving out money anytime he passed them. Just perhaps a few household items that the market price has not increased in the last few months. In fact, for many Benin residents, it is now a common experience to go to the market every day to realize that an item purchased for 100 naira yesterday, for instance, has gone up to 120 or more the next day. This astronomical increase in price of goods, especially foodstuff caused by inflation, has become a source of worry for many families in Benin City. But what are the reasons for this constant increase in the price of food items in Benin City? Extra Voices has details in a moment.
In the ever-revolving world of news, one story becomes extinct the moment another major story breaks. Market women don't know whether they be any to. But with KUFM's Extra Voices, the story never dies. It just takes on a new life.
Market never. There's no water in the house. The toilet is not good.
We don't have any fashion in APC.
We bring you new angles and fresh perspectives to every story, no matter how old or remote.
There are a lot of educated people that are involved in politics nowadays.
We go a little beyond the surface to get you those extra details ignored in the rush for the news.
Now bridge. Now we take the entrance.
So don't die for inside.
We go beyond the lines to bring extra voices, not just for those making the stories,
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
but for those affected by the stories.
I've lost 1 bag of rice. Documents.
So it's a real disaster.
With Extra Voices, we add new flavor to give fresh perspective and taste to an old story. Extra Voices airs every Wednesday and weekends on KUFM's major news bulletins.
Lamenting the cost of living as a result of the price of food items that jumped up across the state. Findings by our correspondent show that household food items such as rice, vegetable oil, flour, tomatoes, onions, and frozen food items recorded significant increase in price. This may not be unconnected to the increase in petrol pump price aftermath. I'll take that again. This may not be unconnected to the increase in petrol pump price, the aftermath of COVID-19 lockdown, and the NSAS protests.
The aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic and high cost of transportation are among many factors that triggered a significant price increase of major household items across Edo State markets.
This for that side, this road is here carry now. If I hit this place, the money was spent for road, police, soldier, it is like 70,000.
Before you dey go car market, 4,000. No go free your motor. Now you must carry 4,500 or 5,000. Because the fuel enter now 170.
The price of items such as beans, pepper, palm oil, onions, tomatoes, garri, and potatoes significantly increased.
I don't tell you, those are the place where their price they go up anyhow. From 3,000 to 3,000 to 4,000, 4,500. Tomatoes now, in fact, now in worst. from 2,200, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000. Noodles of 3,600 now we dey buy am 5,000, 5,500. At times we no go even see am buy itself.
When you buy 70,000 for one bag, how would they buy 8,000, 7,000?
The resident said it is difficult to cope with the situation.
Wow, things not dey come down. Things just dey go up every day.
Tire for this country. That's why many people, they have small money, they run away from this country.
According to the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, Nigeria's inflation rate has risen by 14.23% in October 2020 as against 13.75% recorded in September 2020. Professor of Economics at the University of Benin, UNIBEN, Professor Anthony Moye Emina, is worried over the cost of living in the country.
We have not seen the end of the effects of the impact of COVID-19 on the economy. Production was disrupted. And then, of course, this EndSARS crisis that followed also compounded the problem. Of course, insecurity in the north, where most of the foodstuff we consume all over the country come from, also affected production. So we are going to face with the problem of supply shortages, which will trigger an increase in prices and by implication the cost of living.
The economists wondered why the Nigerian government keeps increasing petrol pump price since the price of crude oil has fallen in the global markets.
So structural challenges compounded by poor macroeconomic policies are making things difficult. And the major raw material for producing petroleum products, crude oil, the price is falling down in the global market. The expectation is that once the major raw material is, the price is declining, the price of the product itself ought to go down, but that's not the case in Nigeria. That's going to compound our cost of living headache because price of every other thing will go up.
The farmer and former chairman, Cocoa Research Institute, Owe DC Imasoge, said the spike in food items is also triggered by limited supply in the items as a result of climate change.
I'm expecting cost of food stuff, if available, to be very high next year because of the climate change. If you now watch the yams that are coming out from the farm now are very tiny. You observe within May and June the type of weather we had that will not make crops to be good.
Imasoge said Nigerian government is not doing enough for farmers.
But the loans they are saying they are giving to farmers, let them really search their mind if these loans are going down.
President of Traders Welfare Union of Nigeria, Lucky Wikwe, said the situation is further compounded by market associations leaders.
We have a demonic union inside our market. Before you can sell any item inside our market, they will compel you to join union. By the time you join that union, they give you days to come to market. And this union decide the price that they will sell. And they decide who goes to market and bring goods to sell.
Meanwhile, Professor Emina blames the worsening economic situation to poor management of the country's economy.
If you go to Federal Ministry of Finance in Abuja, the management of the economy is in hands of so-called experts from the World Bank. They are the ones telling our officials what to do. That's the major problem that we have now. So more or less, the management of the Nigerian economy is not in our hands. It's in the hands of foreigners.
Residents are appealing to relevant authorities to do the needful to return the economy back to shape.
So if federal government try and make our use go down, way before EndSARS for this period, COVID-19 days period, anything don't fall short. So many federal government know the plight of the people.
I beg make government just try, make them work towards all these things before now till December, so that our people don't go die for hungry.
While suggesting a way forward, Rupe asked the state government to check the excesses of market leaders who inflate prices of goods to the detriment of consumers.
For example, I can only expose this union, but government need to apprehend them and put a stop totally.
Padisi Imasugi wants the federal government urgently fixes the country's moribund refineries.
A good government should be able to put their refinery in order. The fuel will not go up.
In terms of the food index, the case of Edo State is more worrisome, as the NBS said it led list of highly inflated states in the country in October with 21.6%, followed by Zamfara 20.88%, Kogi 20.58%, and Sokoto with 20.5%. For KUFM's Extra Voices, Nosahai Uwadia.
Only in a moment after this break on our entertainment news, Organizer has postponed AMA 2020 nominations due to COVID-19 restrictions. Stay with us, please. Members of the African Movie Academy Awards AMA have confirmed the postponement of this year's nominations, as the 2020 AMA nominations was originally slated for Friday, November 20th, 2020. According to a statement released on the awards social media platforms, the nominations announcement will now hold on November 30th, 2020. The AMA founder, Peace Anya Musigwe, said in a press statement that the delay was due to COVID-19 restrictions, which have affected the prompt arrival of some members of the jury. Meanwhile, AMA organizers confirmed the 2020 edition days ago while unveiling Steve Ayorinde as this year's jury president. And last in entertainment, on to sports, where NFF president Amaju Pinnick backed General despite poor performance in AFCON qualifiers. It goes like has more in our sports bulletin this morning.
NFF President Amaju Pinnick has retracted his support for Super Eagles technical advisor Donald Trump despite recent calls for the sack of the German tactician. Ronaldo made intense criticism after the Super Eagles failed to beat the Leon Stars of Sierra Leone in their 2022 Africa Cup of Nations qualifying doubleheader. The Eagles were forced to a 4-4 draw by the Leon Stars at the Samuel Budia Stadium in Benin City last Friday, while both sides battled to a goalless draw in the reverse fixture on Tuesday at the Siaka Civil Stadium in Freetown. Nigerian Sports Minister Solidario also came out to fully to criticize the technical advisor and insist that the needful will be done. Pinnick has however backed the former Gabon and the J coach to continue on the job. Ronaldo was appointed Super Eagles manager in 2016, signed a contract extension with the NFL in March this year. And finally, the Nigerian Football Federation NFF has announced the appointment of Amina Sani Zangon Daura as its new head of women's football. Recruitment firm Phillips Consulting on Friday noted that during the entire exercise, Daura demonstrated a strong passion for the development of women's football from grassroots to elite level. The firm added that she was able to prove to the panel her capacity for stakeholder management and funding, and therefore fits the bill of the Nigerian and a female as stipulated by the NFL for the position. The UNICEF ambassador Daura will oversee the development of women's football across the nation and also provide technical support to the head coach, Randy Wardrobe. She will be responsible for increasing the participation of women in football at all levels and developing opportunities for women in football with respect to grassroots education, performance, and administration. A total of 11 candidates were interviewed for the position, including 7 Nigerians. There were also an Italian, a Finnish, and a Belgian in the final pool, for which Amina Daura emerged. Educated in England, she has over 15 years' experience in women's football organization and last worked for Happy Hands Foundation for Child Education. And that's Sports News on KFM's Newsroom. My name is Elisa Hagmaker. Back to you, Charles.
Thank you very much, Elisa, for those sports stories. And of course, we also have to come to the end of our package this morning. But before we leave, a quick recap of the headlines. To ASU for earned academic allowances and the revitalization fund. We also told you that Governor Gordon Obaseki has re-emphasized 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. the 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew, as the army has begun a 7-day operation to check criminality and insecurity. And finally, newspaper vendors have protested their colleagues' killing in Abuja. Do remember that the continued unity of Nigeria is a collective responsibility. Be sure to play your part. Do not forget, you can listen to us from anywhere in the world by visiting our website at www.kufm.net or you can download our mobile app from the Google Play Store. We are also live on YouTube at KUFM Nigeria, and you can also listen to us on RadioGarden.com. KUFM News Dawn was produced by Nusahari Wadiai. I am Charles Oporum saying thanks for listening and good morning.
92.7 KUFM News. Concise, precise, balanced, unbiased.
We are live from Benin City to the world. This is 92.7 KUFM News Dawn.
Hit music only, KUFM.
After a diligent and thoughtful nomination selection process. These are our highly esteemed awardees of the 3rd edition of the Best of Edo Awards 2020. Andy Bello, Comrade Sonny Usayende, Bishop Fred Idahusa, Patrick Eholo, Eyen Ekere Uwak, Michael Omoebe, Kazim Bello Osage, Osasu Igbinidion, Eric Usayende, Patra Idehen, Drew Uyi Obomoide, Ehizoge Ukiwele, Abel Igari, Michael Akideno Onwabagbe, Esosa Sylvia Edo, Noah Inu Momodu, Ome Kelly, and Madomi Wilson Ewakide. Date Sunday 29th November 2020. Venue Vichy Gates Hotel, Ihama Road, GRA, Benin City. Time 1:30 p.m. Red carpet, 2:30 p.m. award presentation. Come, let's celebrate the best of Edo.
Uncle Dentist, what can be cavities and how Colgate take they protect my teeth from cavities? Shey they use Comfort?
No dear, na hole for teeth they cause most tooth pains with the cavity. But if you use Colgate Maximum Cavity Protection, take brush every day. The confirmed formula could help keep natural calcium inside our teeth. We could protect them from tooth decay.
Time don't reach to upgrade to the world's most chosen toothpaste, Colgate, because Colgate locks calcium in.
And the Nigerian Dental Association, they recommend Colgate.
We love weekends.
Be blessed as you listen.
Today is Saturday, November 21st. Our topic is Be More Conscious of These Things, Part 2. Our Bible texts are Romans 5:17, New International Version, Proverbs 28:1, New King James Version, and Colossians 2:9 and 10, New King James Version. I read, For if by the trespass of the one man death reigned through that one man, how much more will those who receive God's abundant provision of grace and of the gift of righteousness reign in life through the one man, Jesus Christ? The wicked flee when no one pursues, but the righteous are bold as a lion. For in him dwells all the fullness of the Godhead bodily, and you are complete in him who is the head of all principality and power. Good morning, Alex Idu is my name. I welcome you to this beautiful day. Above Only Devotional is brought to you every day in this station to bless you and bring you face to face with your